Men, there are a lot of losers out here who are not taking care of their sons and daughters. And we got to hold them accountable. I don't give a damn who get mad on my live. I'll tell the truth.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. And I'm excited today, man. Today's a very special day, man. Today's Father's Day. But you know, we was going to go about it two different ways, but today we decided to say, you know, I want to give all the flowers today to the fathers. Right? We got to give them their flowers, guys. Let's give them their flowers. One more time for the fathers. All the good men out there doing the right thing by their children, I want to commend you. And I want to tell you, man, we see you, we respect you, and we value you, man, and we understand your true value. But today we're going to talk about it, and we're going to make a difference. We're going to show you there's a difference between being a father and being a baby daddy. Right? We're going to talk about the difference. For the baby daddies, you get a bigger... That's for all the baby daddies out there one more time. We don't respect y'all. Come on. At the end of the day, you know it's about being a father, man, to your children, right? And being that today's Father's Day, I want to give all my flowers to the fathers. You know, again, we love you guys, man. I can't say it enough how much I respect fatherhood, because in society today, it's like it's devalued in a sense, right? We talk about how like fathers aren't really needed, but they really are needed. You know, statistics show it. But yet and still, you know, people are believing otherwise, right? So I talk about these things all the time. We need to acknowledge that fathers are extremely necessary when parenting a child. The same way it was needed to create is also needed to raise, right? So if the father was needed to create it, we also got to understand it's needed to raise it. So we got to talk about that. Somebody want to call in and tell me the difference between a father and a baby father. What is the difference? The call-in number is 516-246-6321. One more time. 516-246-6321. I want my ladies to call in, right? I want ladies to call in and have this conversation, right? And the fathers, if you're a father, I want you to call in and talk about what's the difference between you being a father and a baby father, right? 516-246-6361, right? Let's get a call. Let's get somebody to call in. But I'm going to tell you what I truly believe is the difference. You know, fathers, we make great sacrifices. And I hate to say this, and a lot of times, it's a very thankless job, right? You just got to know it means you're doing the right thing. Because I truly believe that fathers aren't looked at to the magnitude of what they should be. You know, a lot of us make great sacrifices. And when you make great sacrifices, it's not rewarded. I remember a quick story. There was a young guy. He said to me, he don't respect his father. And I said, why do you don't respect your father? He said, my father wasn't really there. And I said, elaborate on there. He said, my dad really didn't help me do anything. And I said, I don't understand. He said, my mom was always there. She came to all my games. She supported me. You know, she was there. So I said, if I ask you a question, will you answer it truthfully? He said, yes. I said, what did your mom do for a living? He said, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So I said to you, wait, your mother was a stay-at-home mom? He said, yeah. And I said, so wait, your mother and father are married? He said, yes. And I said, wow, if your mother and father are married and your mother's a stay-at-home mom, your dad is only never there because he's paying all the bills. You know, he couldn't understand that. And I said to him, I said, you got to understand, right? You have to understand, like, the reality. You know, we make sacrifices, but sometimes it's a very thankless job. In a lot of cases, mothers get all the glory, right? We're going to call it what it is. You know, you could sacrifice, put your family in a better position, but mommy is always going to get the rewards, which is okay. So, man, we have to be conscious and be grateful that at the end of the day, we understand our value. I have a question, and I want to start this question. I want somebody to call in, right? I want y'all to answer this. If a mother, right, decides to get an abortion, it's okay. How come the father has no say-so in saying no? I'm just asking this question. Think about that narrative. If a father don't want a child, right, the woman can still have a child, and the father is still financially obligated. But if the father wants to keep the child and the woman don't want to get to keep the child, she has every bit of right to say no. You don't think that's a little bit biased and unfair? I'm just asking a question, guys. I want y'all to answer this question. Let's hear somebody gonna answer this. Let me say this one more time. How come if a father, right, don't want a child, the mother can still choose to have the child, and the father is still financially obligated, right? But if the mother don't want a child, she could get an abortion even if the father says no. I'm lost. Guys, we gotta make this make sense to me, guys. Right? We gotta make this make sense. Right? But when you have these conversations, a lot of people get in their feelings. It's her body. Call in, let's have this conversation. Call 516 246 6321.
Yes, sir. I was watching you live, and I have an opinion on that.
I'm listening right now.
Okay. I feel like you on the right subject. Nowadays, females they're allowed to have the baby, but the father has no say. So it's because they talking about creative birth, where they
Yes,
try to make us men feel like we don't have an opinion. So they're quick to knock us. So therefore, they're trying to destroy us as we come out the womb anyway.
I agree 100%. So in my mind, me asking you as a man, do you think it's fair?
No, it's not fair at all because we also have a say. So we laid in that bed with them.
Agreed. But my thing is, I'm looking at a lot of ladies. See, sometimes when we have these conversations, some people get in their feelings. That's why I tell, please put on your mature caps when you come on this podcast, guys. Some of these people be writing some crazy stuff. I understand it's her
I'm
body.
ready for it.
No, not you. I understand it's her body, right? They're saying it's her body, it's her body. Yes, it's her
Right.
body. But here's the narrative. If the man don't want the child, he is still held financially obligated to a child he never
Right.
wanted. But if she don't want the child, she could just abort it 1, 2, 3, even if he wanted it.
Right.
And y'all think that's fair? Wow.
See, the problem with women nowadays, they're not taught how to treat a man. So they wanna worry about what everybody else doing on their social media, like getting these fake implants. They already getting brainwashed by the white people as we speak already. So therefore, they're being against their own race. So therefore, they hate their own race. So most of them will be quick to get an abortion because how they were raised, how their parents were raised. It's not their parents' fault. It's the program system that's failing the kids nowadays.
I agree 100%. I agree. So as a father, what would you do if you were in this scenario? Like you want to have the child, she don't want to have the child, she's deciding that she's going to abort it. How would you feel about it as a father or as a man, right? How would you feel?
I know I would feel like I'm going crazy. I already know because I done had to go through the situation. It felt like my mind, felt like I was losing my mind, felt like I was lost in the world because even as me trying to be a father and she still trying to get an abortion, y'all already say men ain't doing this, men ain't doing that. But when the stuff comes out to the light and it was the woman, y'all quick to point the finger at the other direction, if you understand that.
Yeah, look, somebody's on the live. They said, I see this is all about men. It's not true. If you watch my content, I go at men, I go at women. I'm very fair. I'm not biased. I'm not hurt from a woman.
You're equal.
I'm very equal. But here's my logic, what I can't stand. The day I talk about women, it's like I'm the enemy. The day I talk about
You
men,
want to know why?
yeah,
Because the truth coming to the light, and most people don't like to hear the truth.
yes.
They prefer to hear lies being told to them in their face.
Ladies, the reason why,
Most of them.
the only reason I'm really having this episode and talking about it is because I want them to hear it from a man's perspective of how they feel when they don't have a right of opinion when it comes to their own thing that they consider their child. The courts already
And
alleviate
can I
that.
say this?
Yes.
I'm a man. I take care of my daughter. I cook, I clean, and everything else. And nowadays, men are not getting no kind of what they call it. They don't see the good in men. Everybody sees the bad, and that's the bad part. They forget all the good that the men try to do, at least we're giving the effort than the fathers that's not even trying at all. So for you to say, I want an abortion, but you see that man trying to make everything work. He cook, he clean, he do stuff a normal man wouldn't do. Why would you go and do that to that man to try to destroy him mentally? You see where I'm getting at?
Agreed. Somebody just said the dopest comment so far. They said the baby is a gift from God. There are women who wish they could have children, and yet still someone believes they're going to take their right. That's crazy. Now, I love you too, sister. I'm not mad at you. I want you to call in, as a matter of fact, and let's have this discussion. It's not a hate or a mad thing. I'm just saying, I just want you to...
We love everybody.
Come on, of course. I just want you to see how men feel when they don't have the right to something that they consider theirs. The courts say 50-50, right? But in reality, men don't have the power when it comes to their children. I'm just being honest, right?
In the world, women are winning by 80%, and men only get 10% of notification that we matter. Facts.
And I agree a lot in a lot of cases, right? But when here's the problem. The other day I said a comment about how women are not allowing their children to see the father, right? And they're blocking the kids out because of the fact that maybe they ended bad. Rather than someone sitting on a live, like a woman, she should be looking like this. And the ladies, listen to what I'm saying before y'all get in your feelings. Y'all should be looking like, you know what? We need to raise awareness because there are women that are like that. Stop making it about you and like, well, maybe he shouldn't have her. That's bad. Because you're basically co-signing this lady who's about to procreate a child with a problem because you're keeping a good father or a good man or a good example away from this child, which is so unfair. If a guy goes on live, right, and I'm looking at the episode and he says certain things about men, I don't get defensive. If anything, I'm like, yo, we need to raise these guys who's doing it awareness, and we got to hold them accountable. And ladies, we got to start holding each other accountable. Let's get out our feelings.
Because nobody likes to admit when they're wrong, especially some women. That's the problem.
I think that's human nature. I think it's human nature, but I do know a lot of women don't like to be wrong. I will admit that. But I think a lot of men nowadays, they definitely have that kind of mentality too, right? They take everything personal when you corner them with truth, right? And I'm just being fair.
Bad.
But it takes maturity. It's a maturity thing, right? It takes a mature woman or a mature man to be told about themselves. And we got to break that
really
habit.
Both ways.
It is. But my guy, I appreciate you, Dope, I could go all day with you, bro. The conversation feels good. But let me get somebody else to come on as a...
Spiritually woke, sir. God-fearing man.
That's a fact. I appreciate that.
Woke.
Yes. So, guys, when I had this conversation, I'm not being man biased. I'm not being woman biased, right? I'm just telling the truth. I'm just trying to see, like, one thing I've always noticed in a lot of cases when we express as men how we feel, it's always pushed to the side rather than try to understand us, right? I think the best women are the ones that are try to understand men. A woman could never be a man and a man could never be a woman. Let's agree to that, right? But we have to learn how to understand each other. And that's a major issue. Anytime men say how they feel, women always make things about them. Ladies, you'll never understand a man if you always doing that. Men, anytime we talk about women, you always make things about you. Men, you'll never be able to understand a woman if you always make things about you. I can sit here and listen to a woman explain to me how she feel about men, and I won't feel a way. Because of the fact that, I hate to say this, in most cases, the people that tend to become defensive are the ones that's doing it. You're the problem. And that's the reality. If you don't see that you're the problem because of the fact that you're not holding the people that's doing this accountable, you're giving them an excuse. And if you keep giving them an excuse, they're going to keep doing this over and over and over. Ladies, there are a lot of women who are not allowing fathers to be fathers. It's the truth. And if you know you are, you should be speaking your truth and pushing the ones that's doing it wrong to stop doing it. It's not right. No matter how you slice it, he could have been the worst dad on earth. I mean, the worst baby father, worst boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. He could have been bad. But yet and still, his kid should come to the conclusion on his own of who his father is. You should not make preconceived notions and create context in their mind to believe what you feel about your child. Because again, he dumped you. He did not dump his child. Oh, you dumped him. And I just have to say this, guys. We got to stop this whole nasty, always being defensive crap. Like, I can tell who the adults are when I listen to the way how some people respond. I can see who's the immature ones when I can see how they respond. They take everything so personal. It's not about you. The world is bigger than you. This is why you're not getting anywhere in life, because you're so caught up in everything about how you feel. Learn how to humble yourself and listen. That's why God given every human, for the most part, 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we can listen a little bit more. Guys, we need to learn how to listen and get out our feelings, right? But again, let's get this call in number. Somebody call in 516-246-6321. 516-246-6321. Listen, it is unfair when things are not in favor of any one opposite sex. It doesn't matter. What's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. And we have to be honest. I get it, right? A woman choosing to have an abortion is her body, 100%. And I'm saying this on record. But I think this is a conversation that both parties should have, though, right? Would y'all agree? Man, you on my live right now. You think that's a conversation that you both should have? I'm not sitting here playing God and saying a woman is wrong if she get an abortion. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. And I know y'all haven't heard me say that not once. I said that in this decision, I think both parties should have a discussion and have a right to say so. Right? Would you agree? Would you agree? And I have to say this. But again, we always make everything about us and how we feel. My lady, I was just on my live. I want you to call in. Please call in. I would love for you to call in. And when it's not a debate or an argument. I think you have valid points. As I was reading what you were writing, very valid points. Very valid. But it's not me saying this to control a woman or I control her body. And that's not what I'm doing here, guys. Right? I'm not doing that. I don't like to be biased because I call a man out in a heartbeat. I work so hard to be considered a man that I refuse to allow a man that's not being a man to be considered a man. I work so hard as a father to be considered a father that I will not respect a man that's not being a father. So let's just call it what it is. I hold people very accountable. Ladies, if you're wilding, I'm going to say something. Man, if you're wilding, I'm going to say something. Because at the end of the day, it's no bias. What is the bias for? Right? I hate to say this. It's just reality. And it's truth. When procreating, 2 people being intimate, right? Right? We should both have a discussion about this. I'm going to ask this question again. And I want someone to call in and tell me their opinion about it. If a woman decides to get an abortion, right? The man has no say-so, even if he wants the child, right? But a woman decides to keep the child, even if the man don't want the child, he is still financially obligated to take care of that child. And I hate to say this, there are some children walking earth today who are here because the dad didn't want them. And the sad part is that child is suffering because of the fact that that wasn't the case. You and the father knew, or the man knew what it was. Y'all was intimate, but it wasn't a plan of prolonging the experience, right? Would you agree, guys? You knew for a fact it was just a sleep situation. It was no more than that, right? And if you tell a child that, you would be extremely wrong. I understand, but men, if she went through with it, try your best at most to be a father to that child because he needs you no matter what. But again, if you say that, you're wrong. I'll give you a scenario, and I want y'all to answer this. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to tell me how y'all feel about this. I had a good friend of mine. He met a girl on vacation, right? Him and the girl were intimate. Yes, he should have used protection. But we're going to be honest with you. He who without sin cast the first stone. That's what we're doing from now on. He who without sin cast the first stone. If you've never had sex without no protection in your whole life, I mean, if you always had protection in every sexual encounter, throw some stones, right? Throw some stones. I'm going to let y'all throw the stones. Anybody that always used protection when having sex their whole life, throw a stone. Because I can't throw no stones because I didn't. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know who's going to get on this live and be like, well, I've always used protection, lying. And then I go to your town and find out dudes that say otherwise. Come on, guys. We got to stop the cat. All right? We're being grown right now. It happens. You on vacation, you meet each other, y'all get intimate, right? All of a sudden, you and her didn't know each other. Y'all slept with each other one time. You go back to your state, she go back to her state. This is a true story, what I know with my boy. He came back to New York. She went back to Atlanta. They met in Miami. She got pregnant, right? All of a sudden, she got pregnant, and then she called him 3 to 4 months later and told him, hey, I'm pregnant. He was like, yo, blah, blah, blah. This wasn't the case, And 4 months later, he was seeing somebody, right? So he was like, we just had a one-night stand. So it was like, what are we gonna do? Preferably, I don't want the child. She called him a freaking deadbeat, all of these things under the sun, and had the baby. He went on and lived his life, and he helped to take care of the kid as much as he could. But what I'm trying to say, emotionally, he wasn't invested there, right? So therefore, he didn't really, I didn't say he didn't do the best or the worst job. He could have did more, he could have did. But in his mind, he was like, yo, I really don't want to do this. And I felt bad because I can see both points, right? I could see the girl not wanting to get an abortion, right? But I could see the man not wanting to have a child. So it was like, wow, But again, we're going to say, oh, you got to use protection. I get it. Someone call in to talk about this. I'm curious to how do y'all feel about this, right? Do y'all think in his case, he's wrong? Or in her case, she's wrong? I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm going to be honest with you. Because I see both points. And I'm going to be honest. I want to know somebody that really believes that he's wrong. And I want to hear somebody say that she's wrong, right? I'm lost, right? I don't know. They should have used protection. I will admit it, right? 516-246-6321. I'm calling right now, somebody. 516-246-6321. I want you to answer that question. Who's wrong? Someone said he's wrong. Call in and say it. I want to hear why, though, right? I want you to explain it to me. I'm just curious. I'm going to be honest with you. I won't even debate whether he's wrong or he's right. I'm on the fence because I understand both aspects, but it's like, wow, right? I feel the same way. They both got wrong in a situation. That's how I feel, right? I don't feel more he's wrong. I don't feel more she's wrong. I feel like, wow, this is like a crazy situation. So guys, answer the question. What do you think? Look, somebody said it's seriously unfortunate and happens more often than not. I agree. Hollywood, I agree that 100%. It happens a lot. And it's sad because now there's a child, right? When you look at the whole scenario, he technically wasn't, the father didn't even want him, right? But did he not want him or did he not want a child with the person he was intimate with? Because they didn't know each other. So reality is, I don't think the child wasn't wanted. I think it was just a bad scenario. Because intimacy, it's just a rough situation, guys. I want y'all to call in right now. Somebody tell me what they think about this scenario. 516-246-6321. In my mind, I don't know what to think. I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, wow, right? But I will say, in a lot of cases, when you have a woman and a man, and the bias of the child scenario is crazy. Like a lot of times I read a lot of lives. Like I went viral for a video talking about, fatherhood and how, we're devalued in a sense, right? A lot of people tapped into it, shared the video, which I love and I appreciate, right, to raise awareness. Some of the people on it looks at things so black and white, right, wrong. But there's always gray areas in life, right? Gray meaning the in between. In between wrong, in between right. Caller, what's going on, caller?
It was good. It's Dominic.
What's going on?
What's good? Yeah. So about whether or not it's the baby daddy or father. What's the actual question though?
The question is, do you think it's fair if a woman has an abortion without confronting the man, but if the man chooses not to have a child, he don't want it, she could still have it, and he has no say?
Wow. I mean, I really don't believe in abortion. Like, that's basically killing the child. Like, why would you, want to carry a child just to kill it? Like, that never made any sense to me. Like,
there's always adoption and all this other stuff. Like, if you don't want your child or you don't have the money, then there's plenty of other options.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. That's 100% fact. Because there's a lot of kids right now going around today who were in like situations where the mother and father weren't really obligated to each other. It was more an intimate thing. And now, the fathers are not really active in the kid's life, but in reality, it was like more of a jump off situation. And
I always say, like, even if like Tupac's Brenda's got a baby, like, I'm a big Tupac fan, and I always say that was always way ahead of its time, because look at the storyline. She got pregnant by her cousin, and then like he left her. She threw the baby in the trash, and then she wound up becoming a prostitute. And look at all the stuff going on at the abortion now.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Like I said, a woman has a right to her body. I'm not gonna go on record and say whatever they choose to do. They got to answer to that with God. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't want to play God and judge a person for. I've made my poor choices in life also, right?
True.
But again, let me get this next caller. Okay. Caller, what's going on, caller?
Hello?
How you doing?
Hey, so your question is it okay for a woman to have an abortion without confronting the father?
Yes.
So I'm going to give you my story.
Okay.
I have been with my child's father. I have one child. I'm 33 years old.
Okay.
I've been with my child's father for 8 years.
Okay.
So we spent 8 years together before we had a child. Now, probably during our second year together, we had decided, we want to have a child. Now, our relationship was rocky I would say from day one, looking at it now.
Yes.
But I didn't think that whenever, I was in this situation. So I ended up, before I met him, I was told by several doctors I would never have any kids because of a condition that I have.
Well, God bless you.
So I, when I was 29, that was the first time I ever got pregnant. And so by this point, he had cheated on me, had a baby on me, with another woman, and this other woman just made, things worse between us already. He was inconsistent with jobs and loyalty and lying and running the streets and stuff like that. And we were young. We were in our 20s.
Okay.
So, and he's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
So when I had my first child, it was rocky, and I ended up having a miscarriage. So about 3 months later, I had another one, and I miscarried that as well.
Wow.
So when I got pregnant with my son, honestly, I didn't think that I was going to actually conceive him, because I had been told, I can't have kids. Not that I couldn't get pregnant, that I wouldn't be able to carry my kid all the way through or whatever because of my condition.
Okay.
Okay. So at this time, he already has like a 3-year-old, and like I said, it was rocky. It was a lot of back and forth. He would go to her, go to me, be disloyal to me, and go to her, be disloyal to her, come to me. It was just a foolish game, So when I had my child, he didn't want to have another child because he wasn't really taking care of the one that he had. And the situation between the mother of his daughter and him was just as rocky as the situation between us.
Yes.
So at the time we were broken up, I called him. I said, hey, I'm pregnant or whatever. He said, well, if it's mine, then I'll help take care of it. But I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I said, look, you have to have something to do with me if you want to have a child, if you want to have this child or whatever. So he went on and on and on saying, no, he don't want to have anything to do with me. I said, okay, fine. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to have the child and take care of the child, if it even makes it that far. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was told I could never be a mom. And I feel like some women, that's what we desire to be, a mom, and the job is hard as fuck. So if you don't got no kids, wait until you have until you have somebody that you want to have a child with.
Agreed.
But to go on with your question or whatever, I gave him a choice. I said, hey, do you want to be a dad? Do you not want to be a dad? You already have a kid. I already see how the situation is. You have a choice with me. You can be responsible and help me take care of the kid, or you don't have to. Like, that's your choice. But I'm going to have my child because I want to be a mom. That's what I desire to do, whatever. So he was never there throughout the whole pregnancy. He was in and out. Or I should say, he was in and out, and I had chose a name for my child and everything. He come back like a month before I was ready to give birth, and I ended up changing my child's name to give my child his last name and all this and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so when I had my child, my child was a month old, and he wanted to move me and my child into his mom's house and basically make me a stay-at-home mom, and he go to work or whatever. Well, I didn't trust that because I had been with him for 8 years, and he was never consistent with a job. And I knew I had a bigger responsibility than taking care of my own self. I had to take care of a life that couldn't do nothing for itself. So I had to do everything. So I understood the assignment and the responsibility that I was taking on. So I feel like women should really have, first of all, you should look at your situation with the person that you're having a child with. Look at your situation. That's the first thing that you do. Look at your situation and be realistic about it. Don't play into this illusion. Oh, it'll get better.
Potential.
Yeah.
You know what? A lot of women play on potential.
Yeah. So, give the other parent, even if it's the mom, you know what I'm saying? Because some moms, they really don't want to be moms. They're just having the kid because they think that it'll keep the man around.
Agreed.
Which it will, but it'll be toxic. And it's going to bring you down. It's going to take things from you that's not so easy to get back, internal things.
Yes.
So what I would say is give him a choice, and make sure that if his choice is to not be a father, y'all need to go through the proper process of giving up his rights so that you don't have to go through the situation that I'm going through. Sometimes he wants to be a dad, sometimes he don't. For my child's first birthday, he never called or anything like that. But then my birthday was a month later. He sent flowers and said, oh, I wanted to be the very first person to tell you happy birthday and stuff like that or whatever. You don't want to go through nothing like that. If you want to be a mom, be a mom. You don't have to kill your kid or give your kid up for adoption. If you want to be a mom, just know that your responsibility is going to be 2 times bigger than it would be if you had a father or whatever. So no, I don't think that a man is wrong for not wanting to be a child. I think he's wrong being a father. I think he's wrong if he chooses when he wants to be a father and then thinks that he can come in and out of you and the child's life. Because then you not only are you hurting the mother, but you're hurting the child too, because children need structure. And that's not good structure.
I agree.
I have a son. If I was to say, well, that's his dad, whenever he decides that he wants to be a dad, I have to let him be because of whatever reason or whatever. And that's teaching my son that whenever you feel like being responsible, you can. You don't have to be responsible all the time, and that is wrong.
100% true. You know what? I will say this, though. A lot of the times, though, right, a lot of women aren't holding themselves accountable because they'll have a baby with a guy that knows it's not established, and yet still complain about the economics that never existed, right? And then try to squeeze water out of a dry well. And then complain about the dad that you've chosen, right? The one thing I will acknowledge that you did say, and I have to agree with 100%, is be conscious of who you having your children with. A lot of the times, people procreate with people who have a lot of trauma, a lot of issues, a lot of financial problems, but yet and still they wonder why the children are what they are, right? And you're mad at, there's a girl I know I'm very close with. She got very mad the fact that I told her, I knew your baby father before you knew your baby father. And he's always been he's always been like a loser. So I'm like, what Why are you mad at the fact that he's not being the man that you wanted him to be when he was never the man you wanted him to be before you had a child with him,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. This is the conversation that my child's father and I had. We had this conversation, and I laid everything out on the table. And I was scrutinized, like, oh, you just wanted to have a baby with me and
That's
all
that's
this
that's
and blah
reverse
blah blah,
psychology.
whatever. I
That's not
tried to
reverse
explain
psychology though.
everything. I never said, oh, you're a deadbeat. I never was mad about that I had to be a single mom. I never did any of that stuff. I asked him for help one time when he was, saying that, oh, I'll help you or whatever. And because he couldn't live with me in my home, which I knew that would, only be a bad, what do you call it?
Situation.
Example for,
Okay.
yeah, it will be a bad situation and example for my child, even though he doesn't really know what's going on now. Eventually he will, if I continue to, if I create a habit, okay? If I create a habit and then keep on going with that habit, then I'm no longer in control of doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to automatically do it. Okay. So that's going to be the bad example to my son.
100% true.
You know what I'm saying?
100% true. 100% true. Caller, I definitely agree. I can go all day with you. You 100% right. You're 100% right.
So I don't never say anything to him. Now I've actually been no contact with him since last year sometime. And I have been called so many names, or
Don't feed into
baby
it.
mama,
Don't feed into it.
Whatever,
Don't feed into it. Don't feed into it.
I get up, I take care of my child. I don't complain. I'm actually, I've never been so happy in my life.
That's the beauty. That's the beautiful thing.
You know what I'm saying? And men, I went on one date since I've had my child. My child is 14 months, 1 year old.
Wow.
So I've been on one date since then. And the young man I went on a date with, he told me that it would be harder. I would have to do more because I have a child and I'm a single mother. And I'm like, that's not true. I chose to be a single mother. I could have been, I could have had my child's father in his life, but then that would have brung us both down. When you have children, you have to make an indefinite decision that this is my responsibility. I'm going to do what I have to do, regardless of what is going on around me. Who has a problem with it? Who can't help? Who can help? Whatever. You have to do what you have to do, and that's the responsibility that I took. I could never be mad at anybody because I had a choice too.
No, I agree 100%. Caller, I appreciate you. Like, I can go all day with you. You have some very, very valid points. But my guys keep calling me like Q, and somebody else keep trying to call in. I appreciate you so much, and I'm not rushing you off.
No problem.
I love you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, give her flowers, man. She's out here raising her child by herself, doing what she got to do. And I commend her. I commend her extremely, right? It's a lot of the times when you have these situations, these current situations, the climate we're in now, where there are a lot of people who aren't holding themselves accountable to who they choose and they mate with, right? She's chosen a mate that she knew that would be a certain particular way of being a father. And she ultimately said, I got to step up and do what I got to do. So again, I want to give her flowers for that, because some people, and I don't say all, but some people would literally have a child with someone who they know is not mentally there, and then they complain about the fact that this man or woman is not doing the right thing as a parent. I'm like, what do you expect when you chose a certain type of person, right? We got to be a little bit more accountable and more conscious with that, right? Again, it's hard to explain that to a mind that already made reservation that I can do all the wrong things and I'm good, right? But again, we got to be real with ourselves, right, and have these conversations. A lot of people are so caught up in the false narratives, right? The false conversations, the false pretenses. Everything is not real. You got to be able to say to yourself, like, wait, this woman, I'm speaking from a man's perspective. This man or this woman, right, from listen to what it is, don't have their life together. I got to be conscious, hey, if I have a child with this person, financially, I'm going to have to step up. One of the guys I know, he was mad at the woman that he was dating because of the fact that she didn't have a job that gave her like a check when she was out of work. What is that called? That's like called what is that called, guys? When they pay you when you what What is it called? My mind is shot right now. It's called say it again? No. Child support is something different. Maternity leave, yes. So when you were out of work, they're paying you for maternity leave, right? So when she was out of work, her job that she works was self-employed. So therefore, I told him before he had a child with her, I said, listen, you gotta be conscious that if you have this child with her, you're gonna be expected to pay more bills until she gets back on her feet, right? And get herself back together because of the fact that she don't have a job that gives maternity leave, right? So he was like, yeah, I know. They had a child. Be mindful. She had a car. Be mindful. She had a phone bill. Be mindful. She had all of these bills, right? And he couldn't see it and ultimately started complaining about it after the bill started hitting him. Once reality set in that, wait, this is a 9-month run, right? He didn't expect also she had complications throughout the pregnancy. So technically, after about 30 days, like 3 months, she literally was really sick. Every day she was sick. Her pregnancy was really rough on her, right? And ladies, I know if y'all know some women that's, their pregnancies was like a nightmare as far as health-wise, right? High risk, everything. So she was sick and she had something called hyperthyroid, right? I don't know who know what that is. She had hyperthyroid, so she was very sickly throughout her whole pregnancy. And the guy got upset. And when he got upset, I looked at him and I said, why are you upset when you knew that's the woman you were impregnating and we should have had this conversation before we had this conversation? You should have said that with yourself. Why are you mad at the fact that, you know she don't have the money? You accepted the fact that she didn't have money. You impregnate this woman, and then when the results start coming, now you start getting mad at the fact that she can't afford or funnel her lifestyle. But you knew it already, right? And I think it's unfair to her because of the fact that you knew her scenario. And ladies, I've seen it from a man's perspective too, a woman's perspective. I've seen women choose to have babies with men who don't have their lives together and ultimately start crying about, he don't give me no child support. Listen, that man ain't got nothing to give. What do you expect to get from nothing? Last time I checked, guys, say it with me. Nothing plus nothing equals nothing. You're trying to squeeze water from a dry well. That's not fair. And then you're dissing the man that you already knew was what he was before you actually got so involved. You got to be conscious, right? You can't be sitting here choosing, quote unquote, something you call a jump off and then get a baby with it and then be mad at the jump off results. You can't be choosing a one-night stand and then having a one-night stand experience with the person and you have one-night stand results and you're mad because neither one of y'all knew each other from the jump. Giving life and having children is a serious, serious commitment, right? We have to have these conversations. That is not a fly-by-night thing. That is a 19 to 21-year commitment. So regardless of whatever, you got to deal with that man and woman for 21 years. 21 years. And if they go to college, that's about 23 to 24 years, right? But we got to have these conversations. But we get so caught up in, oh my God, girl, he's cute. Oh my God, she's sexy. Oh my God, he looked like he's good in the bed. Oh my God, she looked like she's a good experience. That's the conversations. If that's what you're procreating based on, you're going to see that your child will become what they come from, right? Genetics are real. Let's just call it what it is, right? I'm going to call it what it is. You cannot be mad at the fact that you've chosen someone who is a certain level psychologically and then wonder why you're getting certain results. Genetics are very real. And that's what I tell everybody, choose wisely because of. Genetics are very real. I'm just going to say it. Someone want to call in 516-246-6321. 516-246-6321. We have to have this topic, right? There's a difference between being a father and a baby daddy, right? But a lot of people are still putting, I listen to a lot of women, I'm like, yo, my God, the way you're talking about that man, that is clearly a baby daddy. A father is not going to do those things, right? But we always talk about fathers. There's a difference between a mother and a baby mama. Baby daddies and baby mama comes with pure drama. They come with bare drama. So you're complaining about a person that's a baby daddy or a baby mother, and then you wonder why you're getting bare drama. That's what comes with a baby mother or baby daddy, right? A child's mother or a child's father is one who you can sit down with and you guys can literally have a conversation and make it make sense, right? Now this is a different level of maturity. A baby mama comes with a certain level of maturity. A baby father comes with a certain level of maturity. A child's mother and a child's father come with a completely different mentality. If a woman is constantly trying to fight against her child's father, she's clearly the baby mother. If a father is constantly, or a man is constantly bickering and fighting with his child's mother, clearly he's a baby daddy. That's drama. But also, you remember, you're creating this drama for your children. You looking at yourselves and seeing what you're going through, but in reality, have y'all ever stopped for 1 second and thought about what your children are going through? Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever thought about the drama that you put your children through? We talk about what we go through every day, but you ever think about what your children is going through? Psychologically, imagine me seeing my mother promiscuous. What does that do to me as a child? You ever thought about that? Imagine me seeing my dad, a loser that you've chosen, Mom, and I had a baby with, and then you're mad at the fact that you got a loser. I have a loser dad. But it says that you've chosen that guy. So what does that say about your mother, too? What does it say about dad? These are the conversations we don't have. When procreating, you can't think in a moment. You got to think for the long term, right? Because again, it doesn't make sense to be complaining about a man when you know you've chosen the bottom of the barrel type of man. Because a real child's father is not going to be the kind of man that you're going to have to ask for to help financially fund this child. Within reason. Notice I say the word within reason. Some people be dragging it. Their expectations of what they expect a man to give is crazy because some women, I hate to say this, they're going to get mad, but the truth is some women want to live off child support. They want the money to come in their pocket and live off of child support, ultimately neglecting their child because the child lives with them. Some women do see their children as paychecks, and I'm going to say the truth. And guess what? Somebody on this live going to get upset because of the fact that you might be the one doing it, so guess what? You're going to try to defend the stance. And that's the reality. If you know it's true, why would you get mad? You're getting mad because the shoe fits. It's you. Again, if you come on this live and say certain things about men that don't bother me, I'm going to stand my stance and try to actually raise a lot of men with awareness if it's going on. I'm not going to defend bad scenarios. That's when you know you reached adulthood. You reach adulthood when you're not uncomfortable to hear some things about other people that don't make sense, right? When you look at that mentality, if you're constantly getting mad at the fact that every time somebody says something, it affects you because the world is talking about you. You are clearly a child. And you got to tell that person to grow the hell up. Grow up. Get out your feelings. Because they say if the shoe fits, you got to wear it, right? That's the truth. You know, and you got to look at a lot of people, how they behave, right? This is a mentality. Ladies and gentlemen, if you choose, right, a person that can only afford that kind of money, you should be looking in the mirror more so about yourself. When you sat there and procreated this child with a loser man, stop being mad at this loser man can only give you loser funds. That's all he could afford. Because clearly on the books, that's what it say. If you choose to have a baby with a drug dealer, and you're mad at the fact that he's legally not on the books, so guess what? You can't get no money from him? You should be more ashamed of yourself because why did you go out there to go have a baby with a drug dealer? But we're not going to look in the mirrors at ourselves, right? You know what we're going to do? We're going to get mad at the results. Oh, my God, he needs to step his game. That's annoying. He needs to step his game up, right? But here's the mentality. And then you sit down and have these conversations, people get defensive over every little thing. Every little thing. You know, this is a reality. Man, if you have a child with a woman that you know that's actively sliding up and down the pole, don't be surprised. Right? Would you get mad if you chose a woman like that? I'm not dissing no woman that's a stripper. But you know the life that she lives. You know where she have to go to get her funds. Right? It's just what it is. I wouldn't date a stripper and be mad at the fact that men are all up in her face when that's her job. That's her job. You know that's her job. You got to be very secure to date somebody like that. Very secure. But you know what we do? We make the poor choices and then we blame the people that we've chosen and not ourselves. Sometimes you got to be able to look from the inward, right? You got to be able to see yourself and why you made those decisions, right? Because at one point you thought he was cute, so therefore you entertained this guy. You got to look beyond the cute. If you procreate a child with somebody just because they're attractive, you already failed. Because you could have the most beautiful face, but the most ignorant mind that you could ever have in life. And that's reality. Guys, we got to have these conversations. Let's get out our feelings. There's an extreme difference between a baby daddy and a baby mama, right? A baby mama and a baby daddy is not something you want to procreate with. I'm going to say it on record, whether you get mad or not. A baby daddy and a baby mama is drama. Some of my ladies on live and some of my men on live, you maybe need to look in the mirror and see that maybe you are a baby daddy. Maybe you are a baby mother. You're drama. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you really are happy, you ain't going to try to look for the misery in others. You're not going to try to fight with a man over who can see the child. Ladies, if you have a man that wants to see his child and you're the one blocking him from seeing his child, you clearly should change positioning with the women who have children by men that don't want to see them. And you would appreciate that man that much more. Let me say that again. Ladies, if you have a child with a guy who wants to see his child and you're fighting with him to not see his child, I wish you could trade positions with a person that has a child with a person that don't want to see their kid. You will understand and have 10 times more respect for that man that wants to see his kid. But you're going to fight with him. And you're going to block him from seeing his child. There are women in this world that's created false narratives in their child's minds. They tell their children a lot of false things about their dads because their relationship with that dad didn't work out. It was never supposed to have worked out. Because sometimes, I hate to say it, y'all wasn't even serious about each other. At all. Right? Y'all wasn't serious. Y'all was having fun. And the child came out of having fun. And now you're mad when the fun is over. Now reality sets in for the both of you, right? He never saw you as a long-term commitment. And you're mad at that. So now you're taking that on your child with him and you're playing games. We got to raise the awareness and we got to hold these women accountable. Because I know a lot of men that's going through that. A lot. It is a very common practice that if a woman is not happy with the way you and her ended, chances are she's going to block you from the child. And chances are, if the man is not happy with the fact that you and her ended, chances are, you know what he's going to do? He's going to try to keep money from the child, thinking he's hurting you, but he's hurting the kid. Ladies, you're hurting the child by thinking you're protecting them from you or the dad. It's a harsh reality. We have to change this narrative. It's disgusting. It is a very common practice. Again, you say this on live, you know what happens? People fight for the people doing the wrong thing. Why are you in the ring fighting for the wrong person? We need to be fighting for the truth. And stop fighting against the person that's raising the awareness. There's a lot of baby mama drama out here. There's a lot of baby daddy drama out here. And guys, until we wake up and see that we have to change the narrative is going to keep being the narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, just because you and someone didn't work out don't mean you have to fight with them every day in order to have a safe and healthy relationship with their child. A man shouldn't have to fight the mother to see his kid. That is disgusting. But again, if a woman chooses to have an abortion, she can choose it. A man don't have the power of helping or being in a child's life to the magnitude of what he wants. Whoever keeps saying that, they have never been in family court. I'm going to say this to my people on my live today. Family court is designed to cause more separation than it is to bring together. Anybody that don't understand that, they clearly have never been in family court. And I can speak from that because I was in family court from the time I was 18 years old. And at 18, all the judge saw me as money paying into a system that's created. And y'all don't know this because of the fact that you're so ignorant, you're caught up in money. Your child is better off spending time with their father than getting money. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of bitter, scorned kids running around here right now not knowing who their fathers are, and they would be better people if they had a relationship with their fathers. And there are some men that don't want a relationship with their fathers because some of the kids was taught wrong. Some women then told their children things about their children. You should let your child determine that. Let your child make that conclusion. You shouldn't be pushing things in your child's mind to teach him about who his daddy is. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. Because sometimes your little bitter scorn self is mad and you're telling your children things about the dad because of the fact that that's how you feel about the dad. You're upset. You're upset. Somebody on this live right now and their feelings getting mad. I already know how I go. These men is this, his man is this. Get out of your feelings. Get out your feelings. How about you go look in the mirror and say to yourself, what made me even entertain a man that was like this? Right? What made me even get intimate to the point where I didn't even use protection while I was doing it? You invested it. And you're mad at the results. Wow. That's a sick mentality, guys. And this is where we at right now with it. We so caught up. That's what it is. It's all victim blaming. You're not a victim because you chose to get intimate with the wrong person, and the fact of the matter is you got the results of being intimate with the wrong person. You're not a victim. You are a person that chose to be intimate with someone who didn't have their life together, and now you're getting the results of someone choosing to have a baby with someone who didn't have their life together. I'm going to say this on record, and a lot of people are going to get mad at this one. This is the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, when choosing to have children and to procreate life, be conscious of how the person was raised, because sometimes people are more prone to recreate the same structures and lives that they've had in their lives. Listen, you can have a woman who grew up in the house of a single mother, and chances are they'll think that it's okay to be in that same structure. And vice versa. There are some men who had dads walk away from them, and guess what? The men tend to walk away from their children because that's what they've created. It takes a person to come along and break the mold. It's called generational curse. There are tons of people who are continuously doing the same adamant things that went on before with their raising. The way you were raised, you're procreating the same reality, right? And this is a sick mentality. And I have a problem with it because of the fact that we're not trying to acknowledge it. We'll jump on a live and argue about truth. Ladies, there are a lot of women who only want money. Stop lying to yourself. It may not be you, but there are a lot of women. Men, there are a lot of losers out here who are not taking care of their sons and daughters. And we got to hold them accountable. I don't give a damn who get mad on my live. I'll tell the truth because I'm not scared to tell my truth. We got to hold them accountable. There are losers men out here. There are loser women out here. And you sisters that are doing right, you got to stop protecting them loser girls. And you men who are doing right, you got to stop protecting them loser men. Period. That's the only way we can fix the problem. First step to recovery in AA is admitting that there is a problem. There is a problem. And the sad part is, our children are suffering from it. And that's the real issue. I don't care who get upset because I'm comfortable living in my reality. And there's going to be a time when I'm going to have to go in front of my God. And I'm going to say, God, I told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I did not get on this live to hurt women. I did not get on this podcast to break down men. But I came to tell the truth. Whoever can't receive it is because they're the ones that's doing it. And that's the reality. And if you agree with me, run these likes up, guys. Run the likes up. Listen, we telling the truth. We got to know there's a difference between a baby daddy and a baby mother. We got to know the difference right now. Stop being a person creating drama for a person that you already know that comes from trauma. Let me say that again. Stop being a drama for a person that comes from trauma. Sometimes we get mad at the fact that our children dads or our children mothers aren't that substantially great. But sometimes you have to understand where they've come from, right? This is how they were taught. Listen to the narrative. I hear women always saying this every day. I don't need a man, right? Here's the dilemma about saying this statement. Words give life, right? Women, you're saying, I don't need a man. That's why you're not getting good men. You're not saying to the universe, I don't need a boy. But you're saying, I don't need a man. Ultimately never getting a man. That's why you're getting pursued or looked at every day and chased by little boys. Because you keep saying you don't need a man. Men, we need to change the narrative. You guys keep saying I don't need a woman. That's why you keep getting chased by little girls. You're not saying, I don't need a little girl. You're saying, I don't need a woman. That's crazy. And that's our dilemma today. And this is the world we live in a nutshell. They've created so much separation. Look at the baby mama, baby daddy drama. It's disgusting. And look who's in the middle of it. If there's a baby daddy and there's a baby mother, there are children in between. And who's like this? Getting pulled both ways. Tug of war. And we think that's cool. And our children are suffering. Emotionally, psychologically, physically, mentally, and they're disturbing. And you see some of these kids go to school and why they're having problems. You see why the kid is in school bullying people because he don't like his home situation. You see why these kids are resorting to drugs, right? Because something is emotionally off with these children. It's the reality. They can't even stomach you telling the truth for 2 seconds without getting in their feelings. This is the damage that we're causing by keep creating these mentalities, guys. It all starts at home. We got to look back and start looking at ourselves. So sometimes when you look at the world, start from the inner. Start looking at yourself before you start judging everybody else. Because they say, he who without sin cast the first stone. I don't throw stones, I throw truth. For those who got a glass house, I hate to say this, my truth is going to break your glass house. Because I'm going to tell the truth to the end of time. You're going to be sensitive of truth, ultimately losing because of the fact that you don't understand that the truth shall set you free. Men, ladies aren't your enemies. Ladies, men aren't your enemies. We got to look at ourselves and say to ourselves, look, in reality, is this man doing the best he could possibly do based on what he is? Then you got to look at yourself, men. Men, is she doing the best she could do possibly based on the way she was raised? Some people don't know no better. You can't hold the world to your standards of thinking and living because you'll be disappointed so many times by constantly holding the world to your standards. The world thinks different, and it's going to think different whether you like it or not. We just got to learn how to navigate the world because everybody's in this deep ocean right now getting all the waves of life. But it's about how you navigate it. We got to understand how to navigate life and stop fighting with each other because men, women aren't your enemies, and men aren't your enemies. We got to learn how to procreate and create life and help each other. Ladies, some of y'all might have to step up and do more because you've chosen to have babies by certain types of guys. Men, you might have to step up and do more because you had a baby with a certain guy. Because at the end of the day, certain woman, the only time you can fix that is by doing the right thing by your children. You cannot keep complaining about life and not seeing that you ultimately own the key to helping your children's futures. You might be the more sane one. You might be the more mature one. Right? I hate to say this, in the world of life, everyone isn't built equal. Because at one point in life, I hate to say this, that woman or man may have been an example or a reflection of you. So let me say this again. Sometimes when looking at your mates in the past, you should look at the example of where you were psychologically because it made sense for you at one point. But the problem is when choosing that person, if you still entertain it after going through that experience, then you will ultimately get another baby daddy or a baby mother. And that's the problem. Let's start looking at ourselves and stop hating the world. And stop being mad at the decisions we made when we were younger. And start working on ourselves. Until next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.